Group Home Riches, the study course and quick start guide. Today we're going to be diving into some of the basics on group home licenses. I know this is a question that often comes up, so I'm going to dig into some of the things that people often want to know about. And first is starting with the federal, state, and county laws and procedures and guidelines that have to be followed. So this is where it gets complicated, and you really have to know what type of group home you're really trying to attack here in order to be successful. Because the reason why, a lot of people ask, okay, well, can you tell me exactly what I have to do to get my license? The answer is almost always going to be no, because there's federal laws, which we're well aware of. There's state laws, which we don't have group homes in every single state. Obviously, we do have in multiple, but then there's also county guidelines and procedures that you have to follow, and obviously there's tons of counties. So you have to be aware of all of these, but overall, you have to remember the federal is going to trump a lot of them. So we're going to dive into what some of the kind of loopholes are, and how to get a group home started and really do it the easiest way, because a lot of times people don't have the money and the support to go about actually getting help with this license process. Some people, if you have the money to do it and the effort and the time, that it can work, but for what a lot of you are thinking of doing for your group home anyways, it's not even necessary. And a lot of that has to do with the Fair Housing Act, and this is something we get into in our membership. We explain this in detail, and we actually give you a document that explains everything about the Fair Housing Act and how and the parts of it that talk about and really protect you with having a group home. And there's parts that talk about single family homes and not being able to discriminate with people with disabilities and things of that sort. And you have to understand that because that is a federal mandate, you cannot just break that. But there are to keep yourself protected in that, you want to make sure you're staying under. You want to make sure you're staying at 6 people or less in the house to be considered a single family home, and that'll be considered a family at that point. So for a lot of people who do want to get their first group home started, you only need one with 6 people. Like, to manage a home that has 30 people or 40 people in it, that's a lot of work for one person to do. It's a lot of beds to fill. It's a lot of a risk that you're taking on your end. Starting with a single family home is going to be your best bet, and you want to make sure you're diving into the Fair Housing Act, or you jump into the membership so we can go into detail and teach you about it. The other thing is you got to know your payment methods. This is actually a question on its own that people ask a lot. Everyone wants to know, okay, how do I get paid? How do I get paid? How do I get paid? And a lot of people are expecting this money to come easily from the government. And though that is possible, we too teach both methods. We want you to know that there is government money out there that you can get, but we also want you to be well aware of the fact that there's also money that you can get straight from tenants and how to go about doing that. And it just depends on the type of group home that you're starting, because for example, there's plenty of group homes out there where the people in the group homes are more than capable of working, and they do work, but they just don't make a lot of money. The average rent in the country is about $1,300. So if you only make enough, like say you have an alimony payment, or you have some other type of payment that you got to make every month, and you have a lot of debt, and you're trying to get out of debt, you're trying to do right and pay your debts off. All of a sudden you look at your bills and maybe you only have $700 left to pay for rent. Well, if you don't have any friends or family or people willing to live with you, to get a roommate, it can be really hard to find a place to live for $700 a month, especially depending on the city, if you're in a bigger city. So that's where group homes come in now, and it makes it a lot easier. And these people, they can pay their own rent. It's not money coming straight from the government. And I'll show you why in the next slide, why, that's actually a really good thing. But you definitely want to go through and figure them all out. You want to look at, SSD, SSDI. You want to know what's going on with the HUD programs. You want to know all your local and county grants. You want to know all your state grants. and what you have to do to actually go about getting those grants. You want to have all that laid out, of course, so you can get paid as many ways as possible. But depending on government money is not the only way, and you have to remember the government is not always your friend. It's not always a good thing to rely on the government. So, and the reason for that is because on this next slide you'll see, no money is guaranteed. That's the problem. Like, again, if the government decides they're going to change something, or they decide that they want to fund another group home instead of your group home, or whatever the case is, then all of a sudden you're completely out of business. Like, think of it like a company like Rubbermaid. Rubbermaid was obviously ecstatic when Walmart wanted to take them in, and because obviously Walmart's a huge store, so they're going to sell a lot of volume. It made their company a lot bigger. But then all of a sudden Walmart came to them one day and said, hey, we need you guys to sell your product to us for less, because we need to give it to our people for less. And that's like the Walmart squeeze. It's like a dilemma. It's like, well, you don't want to lose Walmart because they pay you so much money, but at the same time you don't want them to squeeze you into a price that doesn't even make sense. And Rubbermaid wasn't able to do it, and Walmart took them out of every single one of their stores, and that hurt Rubbermaid really badly. So that's because they depended on, once they got in Walmart, they depended on Walmart. Walmart was their biggest source, and really the only source they really depended on. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to depend on the government because that money is guaranteed, and then something happens, and then next thing you know, you're out of business because you didn't prepare for anything else.